Welcome, basketball fans, to another massive, highly anticipated breakdown that you have all been waiting for. We are diving deep into a matchup that has the entire basketball world, especially the passionate, unparalleled, and fiercely dedicated Filipino basketball community, buzzing with absolute electricity. Today, we are unpacking the monumental clash, the highly publicized first game of our very own global prodigy, the towering beacon of Philippine basketball hopes, Sotto, as he goes head-to-head against the absolute powerhouse, the immovable object in the paint, the former NBA bruiser known affectionately and intimidatingly as Big Sauce, Alan Williams. This is not just another game on the schedule. This is a statement game. This is a measuring stick. This is a battle of contrasting styles, a clash of generations, and a true test of physical endurance, mental fortitude, and tactical execution in one of the most competitive and rapidly growing basketball leagues on the entire planet, the Japan B-League. When we talk about Sotto facing off against a top team, we are talking about the highest level of international competition outside of the NBA and the EuroLeague. We are talking about a stage where every single possession matters, where every single mistake is amplified, and where every single triumph resonates across oceans. The headline screams efficiency, and we are going to tear into exactly what that means. But the headline also screams a desperate, undeniable plea. Sotto needs more touches. Before we get into the granular details of the pick and rolls, the defensive rotations, the box outs, and the sheer physicality of this matchup, we have to set the stage and truly understand the magnitude of what we are witnessing. For years, we have followed the journey of this young man, from his early days dominating the high school scene in the Philippines, towering over his peers with grace and a skill set that seemed almost completely unfair, to his courageous leap overseas. We watched him navigate the turbulent waters of the United States developmental programs. We followed him down under the Australian National Basketball League, where he first began to truly understand the rigors of professional, grown man basketball. And now, we watch him in Japan, a league that has completely transformed itself into a destination for premier global talent. The B-League is fast, it is tactical, it is incredibly demanding, and it is a league where imports are expected to carry massive burdens. But Sotto is not just an Asian quota player. He is a centerpiece, a defensive anchor, and an offensive weapon whose potential is still, remarkably, only just beginning to be fully tapped. When you look at the landscape of international basketball today, the center position has undergone a massive evolution. The days of the plodding, back-to-the-basket big man, who only exists to clog the lane and grab rebounds, are long gone. The modern center has to be a unicorn. They have to be able to protect the rim, switch out onto smaller guards on the perimeter, run the floor like a gazelle, set bone-crushing screens, roll to the basket with ferocity, and ideally, step out and knock down a perimeter shot. Sotto possesses the raw physical tools to be that modern prototype, standing at an imposing 7 feet and 3 inches, with a wingspan that seemingly stretches from sideline to sideline. He has the inherent genetic gifts that coaches dream of, but raw talent and physical dimensions are merely the canvas. The masterpiece is painted through experience, through trial by fire, and through matchups exactly like the one we are discussing today against Alan Williams. Alan Williams, Big Sauce, is the antithesis of the modern, slender unicorn. He is a throwback, a bruiser, a wide-bodied, incredibly strong, and relentlessly physical basketball player who understands leverage, positioning, and the dark arts of paint play better than almost anyone in the world. He carved out a role in the NBA through sheer hustle, an unbelievable nose for basketball, and a rebounding rate that was, quite frankly, historic for the minutes he played. When you step onto the court against Alan Williams, you're not just playing a basketball game. You're entering a physical combat zone. You're going to get bumped, you're going to get bruised, your balance is going to be tested, and your mental toughness is going to be pushed to its absolute breaking point. This is why this first game against Big Sauce is such a massive focal point for us today. How does a young, long, developing center like Sotto handle the sheer mass and the veteran savvy of a player like Williams? Does he get pushed off his spot? Does he shrink from the contact? Or does he stand his ground, use his length to his advantage, and prove that he belongs among the elite big men in the world? The answer, as the headline so boldly proclaims, is that Sotto was undeniably efficient. And in the world of professional basketball, efficiency is the holy grail. It is not just about how many points you score. It is about how many shots it took you to get there. It is about your true shooting percentage. It is about your points per possession. It is about not wasting the opportunities your team works so hard to create. When a player is efficient, they are a coach's best friend. They are the release valve for a struggling offense. They are the guarantee that if the ball goes into their hands in the right spot, a positive outcome is almost certain to follow. Kai Sotto demonstrated a level of efficiency in this matchup that speaks volumes about his maturity, his shot selection, and his incredibly soft touch around the basket. For a man of his size, his ability to finish with both hands, his understanding of angles off the glass, and his patience when he gets the ball in the paint are truly remarkable. He does not rush. He does not panic when the double team comes. He reads the floor, he finds his balance, and he executes. And this is the massive glaring, but that we have to address with absolute urgency. This efficiency only highlights the most frustrating aspect of this game and, frankly, a recurring theme in Kai Sotto's professional career. He needs more touches. How is it possible that a player who is finishing his plays with such a high degree of success, a player who creates such a massive mismatch simply by stepping onto the floor, is not being fed the basketball more consistently? This is a question that is burning up comment sections, dominating sports talk radio, and leaving fans absolutely bewildered. Basketball is a game of rhythm. It is a game of flow, and it is a game of exploiting advantages. When you have a 7'3" center who is converting his opportunities against a top-tier defensive team, the fundamental logic of the sport dictates that you should continue to give him the ball until the defense proves they can stop it. Yet, we see long stretches of the game where Kai Sotto is relegated to being an elite cardio athlete, running from rim to rim, setting screens, sealing his defender, only to watch the guards launch contested perimeter shots or drive into heavily fortified traffic. We have to dive deep into the psychology of this dynamic. Is it a systemic issue? Is the offensive playbook not designed to feature a true post player? Is it a trust issue among the guards? Do they not feel comfortable throwing the entry pass, which, to be fair, is a dying art in modern basketball? Or is it a pace issue, where the team is so determined to play fast and shoot threes that they ignore the undeniable, highly efficient advantage they have standing right underneath the basket? We're going to explore all of these possibilities. We're going to put the coaching staff under the microscope. We're going to analyze the point guard play. And we're going to look at what Kai Sotto himself needs to do to demand the basketball, to make himself so undeniably open and so vocal that his teammates have no choice but to reward his effort. This is not just about padding stats. This is about maximizing the team's chance to win. This is about utilizing your best assets. And this is about the continued, crucial development of a player who carries the hopes of an entire nation on his broad shoulders. The gravity of the situation cannot be overstated. When a player is efficient but underutilized, you risk stunting their growth. You risk building frustration. You risk turning a dominant force into a passive participant. Kai Sotto has shown that he can battle with the heaviest, most experienced players in the league. He has shown that he can score efficiently when called upon. Now, the challenge shifts from the player to the system. The system must adapt to the talent. The top team they face knows this. Allen Williams knows this. When Kai Sotto is on the floor, the geometry of the game changes. The gravity he exerts on the defense opens up the floor for everyone else. If he is not getting touches, that gravity dissipates. The defense can stay at home on the shooters, and the entire offense bogs down into a stagnant, predictable mess. As we transition into the deep dive of this breakdown, I want you to keep these core themes in your mind. Keep the image of the physical battle between the towering length of Sotto and the grounded mass of Williams in your head. Keep the concept of efficiency at the forefront of your thoughts. And most importantly, hold on to that burning question. Why isn't he getting more touches? We are going to break down the film. We are going to analyze the statistics. And we are going to get to the absolute bottom of this basketball mystery. We are going to dissect the pick and roll coverages, the post-up situations, the transition offense, and the half-court sets. We will leave no stone unturned because this game, this specific matchup, is a microcosm of Kai Sotto's entire current situation. It is a brilliant display of his undeniable talent, masked by a baffling lack of offensive integration. So, buckle up, grab your notebooks, And get ready for a basketball masterclass, because we are about to go incredibly deep into the analysis of Kai Sotto versus Big Sauce in a clash against the top team. Let us absolutely tear into the fabric of this basketball game. To understand what happened out there on the hardwood between Kai Sotto and Alan Williams, we have to look past the basic box score and analyze the biomechanics, the strategy, and the pure, unadulterated physicality of the matchup. When we say Alan Williams is known as Big Sauce, we are not just using a catchy nickname. We are describing a player who plays with a specific, heavy, grounding style that is designed to punish opposing big men. Williams uses his lower body strength to establish an immovable base in the paint. When the shot goes up, he does not just jump for the rebound. He actively seeks contact, creating space by using his mass to displace his opponent. This is the exact type of player that scouts and critics have historically pointed to as the ultimate test for Kai Sotto. The narrative has always been about whether Kai's slender frame could withstand the sheer force of a traditional, bruising center. What we saw in this game was a fascinating chess match of physical attributes. Kai Sotto did not try to outmuscle Alan Williams, because attempting to outmuscle a fire hydrant is a losing proposition. Instead, Kai used a supreme advantage, his length, his timing, and his agility. On the defensive end, when Williams tried to back him down, Sotto employed a technique of yielding ground slightly while maintaining a high center of gravity, refusing to be pinned entirely underneath the basket. When Williams went into his finishing moves, Sotto utilized his incredible wingspan to alter the trajectory of the ball. You do not always have to block a shot to play elite defense. If you make the offensive player double clutch, change their release point, or shoot with a higher arc than they are comfortable with, you have won the possession. Kai's defensive efficiency in the paint was a masterclass in using verticality against mass. He stayed down on pump fakes, he kept his arms straight up, and he forced Big Sauce to earn every single inch of real estate around the rim. But the true revelation of this game, and the point we must absolutely obsess over, is Kai Sotto's offensive efficiency. Let us break down exactly what that looked like. When Kai did get the ball, it was usually in the context of a pick and roll, a high-low action, or an offensive putback. Let's talk about the pick and roll first. Kai is a phenomenal screen setter. He makes wide, solid contact, freeing his guard. But it is his roll to the basket that is so deadly. He covers so much ground with his long strides that if the defense hesitates for even a fraction of a second, he is already at the rim. In this game, when the guards actually rewarded his roll, Kai caught the ball cleanly, kept it high away from the swiping hands of smaller defenders, and finished with soft touch. He did not bring the ball down, which is a cardinal sin for a tall player. He caught it high and kept it high. This is textbook, fundamentally flawless big man play. Then we have his post-up efficiency. On the rare occasions he was allowed to establish deep position and given a proper entry pass, he went to work with a calm, methodical precision. He did not let the physical pressure from Williams speed up his internal clock. He used a quick drop step, utilized the glass, and showed off a hook shot that is becoming increasingly reliable. Every time the ball went through the net from Kai's hands, it felt like a high-percentage, high-value possession. The analytics of basketball will tell you that a shot at the rim by a 7'3" player is mathematically one of the most efficient shots in the entire game. The shooting percentage on those attempts is incredibly high. The likelihood of drawing a foul is massive, and the pressure it puts on the opposing team's front court rotation is immense. This brings us to the agonizing, baffling core of our analysis, the desperate need for more touches. To fully grasp this, we must analyze the offensive system of his team. Modern basketball, heavily influenced by the pace and space era, often prioritizes perimeter creation over interior dominance. Guards are given the keys to the offense, instructed to run high pick and rolls, and either shoot the three, drive for a layup, or kick it out to the corner. The center, in many of these systems, is reduced to a rim runner and an offensive rebounder. However, rigid adherence to this system becomes a fatal flaw when you have a unique, highly efficient weapon like Kai Sotto being completely ignored. Imagine watching a master violinist forced to play the triangle in an orchestra. That is what it feels like watching Kai Sotto set 3 consecutive screens, seal his man perfectly in the restricted area, hold off a defender who is practically fouling him, only to watch a guard look him off and hoist a contested, off-balance 20-foot jumper early in the shot clock. It is not just poor basketball strategy. It is a fundamental failure to read the game. When Sotto has deep post position, the entry pass must be the primary read. If the defense collapses to stop the entry pass, that is when the perimeter opens up. Sotto's mere presence should be a black hole that sucks in the defense, creating wide-open looks for the shooters. But if the team never establishes a threat of actually passing the ball, the defense will simply stay glued to the shooters, knowing the big man is a decoy. We have to talk about the mechanics of the entry pass. It is a skill that seems to be vanishing from the game. Guards today are incredible at dribbling through traffic and shooting from the logo, but throwing a simple, crisp, overhead pass or a bounce pass away from the defender to a posting big man seems to completely flummox them. In this game against the top team, the defense was aggressive. They were denying the passing lanes. But that is where a team must execute. You reverse the ball. You change the angle. You use an entry pass from the wing or the top of the key. You do whatever it takes to get the ball to your most efficient player. The failure to do so is a failure of coaching and a failure of point guard execution. Let's also examine the psychological toll this takes on a player. Basketball requires immense energy. Running end to end, fighting for position against a monster like Allen Williams, boxing out contesting shots. It takes a physical toll. When a player expends all that energy and is never rewarded on the offensive end, it is human nature for their energy to slowly wane. They might stop running the floor quite as hard. They might not hold that seal in the paint quite as long. The fact that Kai Sotto maintained his defensive intensity and his overall motor throughout the game, despite the lack of offensive touches, is a massive testament to his character and his professionalism. He is playing the right way, even when the system is failing him. Furthermore, we must analyze the matchup dynamically. When Kai Sotto is scoring efficiently against a top team, he is forcing their coaching staff to make difficult decisions. Do they double-team him? If they double-team him, who do they leave open? Big Sauce, despite all his defensive prowess and strength, cannot jump with Kai. If Kai gets the ball with a sliver of space, he can simply rise up and shoot over Williams. The top team's coach knows this. They were likely terrified of Sotto getting established. By freezing Kai out of the offense, his own team essentially did the opposing defense's job for them. They neutralized their own biggest threat. To fix this, the coaching staff needs to implement specific design plays that guarantee Kai touches in his sweet spots. We are not just talking about dumping the ball in the post and telling him to figure it out. We are talking about utilizing his passing ability. Kai Sotto has tremendous court vision for a big man. If you run the offense through him at the high post or the elbows, he can pick apart the defense with his passing. He can hit backdoor cutters. He can find the open shooter on the weak side. Or, if the defense sags off, he has a shooting touch to knock down the mid-range jumper. Running the offense through a skilled big man creates a beautiful, highly effective flow that is incredibly difficult to defend, but it requires trust. The guards must trust that giving up the ball will lead to a better team outcome. The coaches must trust that the offense will not stagnate if it goes through the post. And Kai himself must continue to demand the ball. He needs to use his voice, use his body language, and make himself so undeniably open that a missed pass becomes a glaring error that the entire arena recognizes. Efficiency is a beautiful thing, but efficiency on low volume is a wasted opportunity. In a game against a top team, where margins are razor thin, you cannot afford to leave your best weapons holstered. The analysis is clear, the tape does not lie, and the numbers scream the truth. Kai Sotto was the most efficient player on the floor in that matchup, and the complete failure to feed him the basketball more often was a defining tactical mistake of the game. As we draw this massive, exhaustive analysis to a close, we have to pull back the lens and look at the broader picture. What is this specific game, this clash with Allen Big Sauce Williams, this incredible display of efficiency, coupled with a frustrating lack of touches, truly mean for the grand narrative of Kai Sotto's career? For the millions of fans who follow his every move, who wake up at ungodly hours to stream his games, who debate his statistics, and who passionately defend his potential, this game is a perfect microcosm of the journey. It is a journey defined by undeniable brilliance, constant adaptation, and a perpetual, agonizing wait for a system that fully unleashes his capabilities. We have to acknowledge the immense growth we are witnessing. Just a few years ago, The thought of Kai Sotto holding his own against a physical force of nature like Alan Williams might have seemed daunting. The critics would have loudly proclaimed that he was too thin, too raw, too inexperienced to survive in the trenches with veteran bruiser. Yet, he not only survived, he thrived. He proved that physical mass can be countered with length, timing, intelligence, and skill. He proved that he belongs on the floor with top-tier international talent. He proved that his touch around the basket is elite, and that his defensive presence alters the entire geometry of the game. This is the reality. This is not hype. This is documented on-court performance. The efficiency numbers are not opinions. They are facts. But the frustration regarding the lack of touches is equally real and entirely justified. It is the agonizing reality of team sports that a player's individual brilliance is always tethered to the execution and willingness of their teammates and the vision of their coaching staff. For Gilas Pilipinas fans, this is a particularly sensitive topic. When Kai Sotto puts on the national team jersey, he is the focal point. The offense is designed to utilize his strengths. He is empowered, he is fed the ball, and he responds with dominant performances on the international stage. Watching him return to a club environment where he is often relegated to an afterthought on offense is mental whiplash for fans. It requires an immense amount of patience, not just from the fans, but from Kai himself. He is learning the incredibly difficult art of being a star player trapped in a role player's usage rate. We must ask ourselves, what is the next evolutionary step? The next step is not just about getting physically stronger, although that will always be a priority. The next step is about imposing his will on the game, regardless of the system. It is about demanding the basketball with an authority that cannot be ignored. It is about grabbing an offensive rebound and going right back up with absolute ferocity instead of kicking it out. It is about running the floor so hard and establishing such deep, unbreakable post position that the point guard feels completely obligated to throw the pass. Great players do not just wait for the offense to come to them. They bend the offense to their gravity. Kai Sotto has the gravity. He now needs to learn how to consistently bend the environment around him. And for the team, for the coaches, the message must be deafeningly clear. You have a generational talent on your roster. You have a player who can score with incredible efficiency against the best defenses in your league. To not utilize that talent, to ignore that advantage, is professional malpractice. Basketball is a game of exploiting mismatches, and a 7'3" center with a soft touch and a high basketball IQ is a walking, talking mismatch. The teams that win championships are the teams that recognize their greatest strengths and lean into them relentlessly. If this team wants to truly compete at the highest level, if they want to beat the top teams consistently, they have to unlock the full offensive potential of Kai Sotto. To everyone watching, to every single fan who has stayed with us through this incredibly deep dive, your passion is the lifeblood of this sport. The noise you make, the support you show, the demands you place on these teams to recognize Kai's talent. It all matters. International basketball is a global community, and the voice of the fans echoes all the way to the front offices and the coaching huddles. Continue to demand excellence. Continue to analyze the game with a critical eye, and continue to support the journey. Development is never a straight line. It is a series of peaks and valleys, of breakthrough performances and frustrating obstacles. This game against Big Sauce was a massive breakthrough in terms of physical resilience and offensive efficiency. The obstacle remains the system and the touches. But if we know anything about Kai Sotto, it is that he is a student of the game. He will watch the film. He will see the missed opportunities. And he will continue to work tirelessly to force the issue. The future is still incredibly bright. The NBA dream is still alive and well. Every single game in the B League, every physical battle, every frustrating moment is forging him into a stronger, more complete, more resilient basketball player. We will be here, breaking down every single moment, analyzing every single possession, and calling it exactly how we see it. We will celebrate the efficiency. We will condemn the lack of touches. And we will never stop providing you with the most in-depth, passionate, and comprehensive basketball analysis anywhere in the world. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the tape. If you agree with this analysis, if you feel the same frustration about the touches, and if you are excited about the undeniable efficiency of Kai Sotto, make sure you let your voice be heard. We are a community, and our collective basketball IQ is what makes this so special. Keep watching the games, keep studying the tape, and remember that in the game of basketball, the truth is always found on the hardwood. Until the next game, until the next massive breakdown, stay passionate, stay analytical, and keep your eyes on the court. This is only the beginning of a truly magnificent basketball story.